I am joined today by Frank Serio, a CRS agent, and he's from Bethany, Delaware. And thank you for taking the time to come here and talk to me about your history as a real estate agent. And yeah,
Well,
so
thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
great. So yeah, if you can tell me something about the past of coming into becoming an agent and what that was like for you, how that transition was.
Sure. Like anybody else, nobody goes to college to be a realtor. Most people come into real estate from another profession. I got into real estate by the request of a friend who owned a large brokerage, and he said, "Why don't you become a real estate agent? You've got the people skills, you have the ability to communicate, and I think you'd be a really good agent." Well, once I gave it some thought, I finally acquiesced and said, "Okay, I'm interested." So he pointed me to a 1 week crash course. Took the course, passed the state exam the following week, and was able to call myself a real estate professional.
That was quick.
Yes.
That's very exciting. And so when you became the agent, you had the certification and everything, what was the next step? Was it finding a way to bring in leads, or was it just meeting, asking family and friends for referrals? What was the next step for you?
One of the interesting things is when you come into the business from other businesses, and you look at this as a business, the first thing I would have done, and this is what we did, was we hired an assistant. Several agents got together. We hired somebody to handle our transactions. Now, most of the agents thought I was crazy, but if you want to consider yourself in a real estate business and consider yourself a professional, then you ought to do the things that professionals do. This was back in the early 80s, and I got a computer. I bought a little computer. It was an 8088 processor. And a little inkjet 9-pin printer, and it would just crank and it would crank. However, what it did though was gave me the ability to communicate with large numbers of people pretty quickly, which got me into the business sooner than what most people would have on the on-ramp to entering the real estate business.
Yeah, that's actually really smart. I've interviewed a few people and no one said that the first thing I did was hire an assistant, but you're right. If you want to start getting that assistance you need and helping your business grow faster, then you need someone you can reach out to and be like, I need you to take care of this while I deal with the clients. So I really like that idea. And then using the printer to get your stuff out there. So, but you mentioned the 80s. That's, you use the technology you have, so that's perfect.
Well, the interesting thing was I was writing my thank you notes on the printer because I didn't want to handwrite them, and people said, "Oh, that's so impersonal." Well, the reality of it was I would say to the other agents, it's better than what you're sending. And I had success to show behind the numbers of thank you notes that were going out, again, because they were automated and they were coming out of the printer.
Yes, yes. Well, and you're probably touching base with more people faster.
Oh, much faster. And anybody I ever met, I kept a database. Back then we used an index log, and we'd keep all the names on index cards. And it got to a point where I had about 5,000 people on index cards.
Yeah.
And we would put them into a very rough database and start staying in touch with large numbers of people on a systematic basis.
Yeah, so you already knew that you needed a system and you created something just to have, you created your own system basically.
Absolutely. We created our own system. Again, it was a file card system. We just rotated the cards. And then right about 1989, I guess it was closer to 90, some computer programs started coming out for CRM. And immediately we transposed the names from the cards into the computer. Well, that was mind-boggling, and actually it was a revelation because all of a sudden we could touch large numbers of people instantly. Now, it was still in DOS. It was still cumbersome as you look at it in retrospect from today. However, it was able to keep us in front of larger numbers of people than the others in the marketplace.
Yeah, so you were already ready for technology. I mean, once again, you created your own system, and it sounded like you were just ready for the technology to kind of catch up with where you were at. So when they had the CRM, that's fantastic. You used that. So how did you transition to Real Pro systems?
Well, when I got in, and when it got into the 90s and we got into the internet, I became pretty proficient with the computers, how to pull pictures off for listings, and created an IDX on a very rough website back in the mid-late 90s. The other agents in the marketplace were furious, thinking he's putting the MLS up on his website, and nobody else was doing it. But my concept was give before you receive. The more you could give information to the consumer, the more they're going to come back and look to you as the expert in the marketplace.
Yeah.
What I then found was I needed a more robust website. And as time went on and going into the 2000s, all of a sudden RPS came out, Real Pro Systems was coming into play, and it was designed by realtors. And it was designed by realtors and programmers that understood what we do, and they made it very simple. Now I use the system all the time. I can change my page in a moment's notice. I can change my front page within a minute and make it look new, make it look fresh. And it also creates good SEO, search engine optimization, because by changing the page every day, that front page, Google, Bing, they see it as a live site with something going on. So traditionally, we're popping up around on the top of the second page or on the first page of the search for Bethany Beach Homes.
Wonderful. Yeah, it's good to hear that once you start using the system, you can get those results, pretty well. But I know you use it often, so
yeah, absolutely.
That's what I try to tell the clients. It's like it's there and it's ready for you to work it, and once you do start working it, you start to see results. So.
Yeah, and it was interesting, and one of the great things about Real Pro Systems is you can add pages as needed in a very quick and timely manner. James Nellis out of Northern Virginia had once said to me, if one of my clients, if I get the same question 3 times from different clients, he says, then obviously that question is on the minds of some of the other people that I work with. He said, so if I get the same question 3 times from 3 different people, I create a web page for it. And that way people that are going to my site will have their question answered proactively. And it makes it very easy, and it also makes it look like you can predict with pretty good certainty what your clients are thinking.
Yeah, I was just thinking that. That's fantastic. He's already anticipating what they need, and not only that, but he's saving himself time, because then the client will actually be able to read it before reaching out to them. So,
and that was actually the key.
Yeah.
We're trying to save ourselves time. If you want to sell volumes of real estate, you need to be out there in front and be able to predict and save yourself time, but also have the perception that the consumer is getting exactly what they want when they want it.
That's true. I've had a few conversations with agents that have WordPress sites, and they're getting to the point where they have to spend more time being technical as opposed to dealing with the clients and selling real estate. So that was another thing I was mentioning, was Real Pro Systems has everything available for them, and they don't have to be so techy to do that.
And that's a key. A lot of real estate agents constantly are updating technology. They spend way too much time in technology, and with Real Pro Systems, it allows you the ability to create new pages, to update your website, to look more professional very quickly, and you have more time to spend doing what you do best, selling real estate.
Yes, that's true. Well, I thank you for sharing your time with me. I know that you're busy, Sierra celebration, big event. So once again, thank you, Frank.
Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.